Hello YouTube and welcome to Mark Fixes Stuff. Today's going to be kind of exciting because we're starting a new mini series of episodes called Does It Work? They're intended to show you what I have here in a no nonsense format where we try the machine, and if it doesn't work we can think about possible repair approaches for another day, what parts might be needed, things like that. If it does work we can think about add-ons and gizmos to make it more acceptable in the present day, so we can show that in a future video. And as always, I'll be asking for your input and advice as we find out, does it work? On today's episode, we'll be looking at this partially boxed GX4000, sent in by Lemmings and GTA creator Mike Daly. And as an added treat, we'll be looking at this charred monstrosity, pulled from the damp remains of my house. And it really is disgusting. I'm not really holding out much hope for this, but let's find out if they do work. And let's find out right now.
Mark Fixes Stuff. This video is sponsored by PCBWay. You can get an instant quote on a variety of services, or browse a library of talented makers' designs, add them to your cart, and have them delivered directly to your door.
One of the problems that we're going to encounter with this console is that whilst it's boxed, it's not actually complete.
So let's see how much of this system we actually have inside the box. The polystyrene inserts are there, but they're definitely not intact. Inside, the system looks in really rather good condition. And of course, there's the ubiquitous burning rubber. We're really lucky to have this gamepad. They're quite hard to come by nowadays. And whilst not the most exciting game in the world, burning rubber will be good for our testing. The console itself looks like it's in really good shape. A good sign of things to come. But I notice there's no power supply, and that could be a harbinger of bad news. The front of the GX4000 has the controller ports, but round the back you'll find two power inputs. Now this is a bit weird because we've got a 5V and an 11V right next to each other, and although the centre pins are different sizes, I'm hoping nobody shoved the wrong power in the port. We've also got this SCART socket, and unfortunately I don't have a SCART cable to hand. Luckily I've got this really poor quality adapter. I'm sure this won't let us down. And in place of that power supply, I've got this AC/DC adapter that will put out 12V DC at around 5 amps. Although it says 11 volts, the 7805 regulator inside will be good for up to around 28 volts, so we should be good. I'm just plugging the adapter in now, and I've already got some RCA cables that are coming from the back of my LCD bench testing monitor. Yes, I know it's LCD, but it has lots of handy ports. So there's our blue screen on video in. When we power up the console, we'll be able to see if it's generating any video, hopefully. And I didn't realise you can't put the cartridge in unless you switch the switch to off, and that unlocks the flaps. It's really difficult to breach those flaps without flicking the button first. And power in. And power on. Immediately we get a weird blinking rhythmically on both the console and the power supply. That suggests that something's pulling that 12 volts down to maybe less than the 3 volts that the LED needs, and rhythmically at that. Weirdly, that actually just stopped as my thumb touched the power supply, but I didn't do anything to the power supply. I think it was just a coincidence. And now we have a video signal. albeit burning rubber doesn't seem to boot. So we'll knock that off, and let's see if a good old wiggle in its slot can help. Many problems are solved with a wiggle in a slot. Power back on, solid green LED. But no dice, as burning rubber doesn't boot. I don't have a lot of experience with the GX4000, but that LED and the fact that the slot looks really clean suggests to me that this has probably got a power problem. I decided to quickly try booting it without a cartridge in the slot. And strangely, I got some kind of weird video signal, so that suggests that although the voltages are wrong, there is something coming out of the video encoder. Well, this is not fixing it, this is does it work, so we'll put this away for a future video. That is, if you're interested. It does look really nice though, so hopefully. It's time for some murder gloves. In all seriousness, I'm putting these gloves on because I don't like handling things that are covered with soot. It's not very good for you. Here we go. I'm going to empty the contents of my bag and you can tell me if it's disgusting or not. Yep, that's pretty disgusting. Now I want you to bear in mind that when I lost my house, this was at ground zero and was only saved because it was underneath a plastic box. It was in the fire and then subsequently doused by the firefighter's hose, and then it sat in that fluid for a further 2 weeks before I pulled it out. This cable is disgusting, and it's also fused to the console. Look at that. And you can actually see from the metal contacts on the cable the kind of damage that's probably happened inside. This little British console's stiff upper lip has drooped. We're never going to be able to slip a controller into that port. Absolutely no chance. But round the back, the ports are mysteriously quite intact, if they are a bit dirty. And looking at the slot, well, that's filthy. The power switch seems to be fused in the on position. In fact, nothing I do will move it, and it looks like the internal safety catch has melted. What can you do? This keeps catching on my gloves, and it's metal, so I'm going to pull it off. That was the Amstrad logo at one point. Now, I'm not stupid enough to plug this in and think it will work. Or am I? Incredibly, when I power it on, the LED lights up. It's hard to tell whether that's fully lit or whether it's a dim light. But it's definitely lit up. Right, well, if that's lit up, I wonder if we could get a video signal out of it. Should we do it? Let's do it. I'll plug my adapter in. Now we know that we got a signal before, so maybe we'll get the same thing, a black screen or just interference. Power up. And disappointingly nothing, but I can't say I'm surprised. Maybe it's the power switch. No. Maybe it needs a cartridge to boot. Should we? You know we should. Burning rubber. Too soon, YouTube? And let's pop the power back in. And incredibly, the console's booted. I actually can't believe it, it's even playing music. The video quality isn't great though, but it was in a fire and sat in water for 2 weeks. What's going on? Maybe the video quality is this block. No, I don't think it is, because that's composite and we only seem to have blue and the brightness information coming out of the console. Well, I don't know what to say. Let's have a chat.
So how weird is this? We've got one console given to us by Mike Daly that looks beautiful, comes with a controller and comes with a copy of Burning Rubber. It doesn't work. We've got another console that sat in water after a house fire for 2 weeks. It's so disgusting I don't want to touch it. That seems to partially work, meaning the ASIC is intact. It's a strange topsy-turvy world, YouTube. But this gives us a couple of questions and something that we need to discuss. Should we bother with these consoles? Let me know in the comments section below. And also, what does it mean? The fact that the first console we turned on, the clean one, shall we say, the LEDs pulsed on both the power supply and the LED inside the console. And then all of a sudden, they stopped pulsing and we got some kind of video output, although not great video output because the console wasn't working. It makes me wonder if there was maybe a component in there that was pulling down the voltage and eventually that failed. Maybe. Should we look inside? Should we have a look? Moving on to the fire damage console, the fact that that works at all, the fact that it can output sound is absolutely amazing to me. It also looks like it's only got the blue channel and the luminance coming through on the monitor. But that could be a variety of things. It could be a failed component. It could be the fact that it's sat for ages and is corroded inside, or it could even mean the soot has leveled itself on the board, and soot has a lot of carbon in, which can be corrosive and conductive. So this has been a lot of fun, and I must admit that the urge to grab the screwdriver and go to town was really strong. I'm not used to just looking at consoles and sifting through and seeing if they work, which is one of the reasons that sometimes I end up with lots of consoles in pieces, because I can't help myself. There is one thing that I'd really like to do. I've heard that you can create replica GX4000 cartridges without the protection chip, and that sounds like a lot of fun to me, especially when you think of the homebrew that's recently become available. I think we're going to go ahead and make some of those. In fact, I've got access to another working GX4000, and I think we'll use that in a new project really, really soon, whilst we're resurrecting at least one of these machines. Well, it's time for me to go, and I'd like to thank you all for watching. I'd also like to thank my wonderful patrons who are going to appear on the screen very, very soon. Patrons are the lifeblood of my channel, and they really enable me to spend time mucking about with this stuff so that you don't have to. If you'd like to become a patron, come along to www.patreon.com/MarkFixesStuff. You can get ad-free early access to the Patreon Discord, and I don't even know. I'll just love you a lot. Anyway, that's enough from me. I'll see you all really soon. Bye. Is that a good take? Terry, is that a good take? You did press record, right? No, it's not Dave's job.